All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Serious Angler Podcast, where, as always, our main course for you will be talking, hopefully, teaching you more about bass fishing. And that, of course, does not come without a distraction or 10 here or there. Whether you guys are here to learn or share some bass and banter, you're in the right spot. As always, I'm your host, Bailey Egbert, and we have an interesting episode for you guys on weeks that our crew, as you guys know, the three of us, Deacon and Andy and I, all are living obviously different lives. We do the show as often as we can every week, multiple episodes a week. And there's going to be times where simply we can't get together and do a timely episode for the upcoming week. Meaning, we can get together and do 8 episodes, schedule them out 8 weeks, but we want things to be relevant, timely, and, in that moment, in that time frame of when that episode's being dropped so that we're talking relevant news, relevant topics, things like that. But what we do want to incorporate is we've had on weeks where it's challenging for us to get out a relevant episode like that, is we're actually going to go and dig up some of the really good episodes. So we know there's a lot of new listeners at Serious Angler. We get new listeners every single show, and we want to bring back some of the really good episodes that we did in previous years, meaning guys that we've had on a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Obviously, if there's good audio still, because 5 years ago was when I was still doing this thing alone, solo, and on Zoom, and that was terrible, terrible audio. Um, so we won't punish you with guys or with shows like that. But that being said, we have some episodes that are relevant to the time of year that had such good knowledge. And instead of going and just doing that show again, uh, we're going to bring these back up. We're going to bring up some extra shows for you for the week. Some of them might be just filler shows for if we're super busy with Andy's guiding for steelhead like crazy right now. Deacon has a lot of ranch showings for work. I have no excuse. This is why I'm actually doing this episode here solo, because all I have going on right now, guys, to be blunt with it, is the podcast and hunting. My life has been consumed with bow hunting, and my dad has been up this week, so I've been enjoying time with my father because we have not hunted together in a long time. With him being in Florida and just with schedules, all that madness, it's been good to get away from the work stuff and go spend some time in the woods. So just me being blunt with it, which is why we're going to start this new little series, if you will, now, and bringing back some old shows that have really good information for the time of year, which is right now, fall, getting into winter, cold water tips. We have Cody Huff, which is a show we did. I think this was 2023, I believe, 2023, 2024. So either last year or 2 years ago, talking about some early winter, late fall, cold water fishing tips, cold water fishing myths that is relevant to the time. Where if you guys have missed this show, uh, this is a great one. But also, if you did listen to it, it's a nice refresher. So we'll be incorporating these not as just standalone shows for the week, kind of like they are this week, but we're going to be doing some more of these, mixing them in so that you guys are getting some bonus shows because they're not going to be as long. At least most of them won't be as long. They'll be 30 to 40 minutes, little chopped up segments that are great nuggets of information that you guys can use for the time of year. And just, we're keeping it relevant versus just putting out random content for you guys. But it's going to be old shows that we think deserve to be brought back to light. Um, and so before we get into a little throwback, if you will, throwback show with Cody Huff, right now, Omnia Fishing, guys, is we talked about with Matt Johnson last week. We got on the show and talked about the new partnership with Thorn Brothers. A lot of new stuff has hit the site. New stuff from Rapala, which right now, guys, actually until the 11th of November. So you have about a week. 20% off Mooch Minnows right now, which Mooch Minnows have been the deal. And so you get 20% off right now. You got some new stuff from Hide Up Koiki, some new drop shot baits, some new dice baits, new evergreen crankbaits that are in, tools and stuff from Rapala, a new 7.8-inch Kitech Fat Swing Impact. So new stuff from Kitech, or at least sizes from Kitech. Scrolling, I'm just going down this list of new stuff, guys. But there's 11 pages of new arrivals to Omnia Fishing from new colors of the Jackal TN80, new Shimano baits, as well as if you're crappie ice fisherman. They have a lot of new stuff from like VMC on here for ice fishing specifically, some G-Crack stuff. A lot of new stuff coming up on here, which is awesome to see for the Omnia folks. But take advantage of those sales. The new Z-Man swag swim bait that just dropped a Lure Lab episode on that has hit the site as well, which I'm intrigued. I'll be scooping up one of those. But with that being said, it's cool to see the partnership coming to life. And for you guys as a consumer, this is all good things. There's no drawback to it. You're now getting a much better selection for when you're using your pro membership, getting the return on points as used as dollars going forward to get free baits, things like that. You now get a wider selection on top of just having the map layers and things like that you get as a pro member. So awesome stuff there from the folks at Omnia Fishing. And this time of year, guys, I'll just be blunt with it too. Scoping is a deal, especially with the temps being so cold, fish being heavily out on bait. Some lakes and regions they're roaming and out in the in these deep basins, things like that, where it's tough to find them. It's a great time to be running a Sniper Marine pole. Check out our partners over at Sniper Marine, whether you're in a kayak, whether you're crappie fishing, walleye fishing, you're in a walleye boat, you're in a bass boat, you want to use it while you're up on the front deck on the trolling motor, or you wanted to use it next to the trolling motor and say you're team fishing, you're partner fishing, and you guys want your own standalones, you can use that too. If you're on a walleye boat, they have some longer extendable poles for forward-facing sonar if you want to use that. But check out the folks over at Sniper Marine. And then without further ado, we do not have a business from the bass boat segment this week, but as you guys heard recently with Andy talking about the federal rate dropping, things like that, it's a great time to be looking at a bass boat. I know a lot of us northern folk, it's not a great time to buy a boat from a seasonality standpoint where you're going to buy it and you're probably going to end up putting it away until April, May. It is a good time to look for it because you could find some pretty good deals as boats become harder to sell in the fall, meaning people might be more apt to sell them cheaper, give you a deal. Call the folks at Rec Lending. They'll be able to best help you more than anybody, be able to get the rate that you want, be able to best afford that boat, the boat of your dreams. So give them a ring before you guys make your purchase. But without further ado, let's do a little throwback episode with Mr. Cody Huff talking about some cold water fishing tips.
But before we do, it's cold water bassing time. So let's get him on and see if we can figure this sucker out with Mr. Cody Huff. Cody, we got you.
I got you guys. If you got me, we'll see.
Nobody touch anything. Back away from all electronics. We're gonna leave. We're gonna leave it as is. Well, buddy, appreciate you taking time out. We were just talking about some of the crazy snow and the football stuff and everything, and you're out there in Chiefs country. And what's everything looking like out in your neck of the woods, man?
Man, we just had a big cold snap. I was in northern Missouri this last weekend deer hunting, and a big snowstorm came through Kansas City. It hit south where we were hunting, unfortunately, but drove through Kansas City with a little snow on the ground. It's finally looking like winter around here a little bit.
Yeah, so this is always the hard time of year. My buddies and I joke about this, especially, I mean, I do with Andy a little bit, but more my hunting buddies, is that this is a really hard time of year to be in the north where it's the fishing can still be really good, but also it's like prime rut, especially a couple of weeks ago. You know, like you look at the days, you're like, man, should I go smash 25 pounds of smallmouth or do I go sit in a tree stand and try to kill a big one? It's always a hard time of year. Is that the same for you guys over in Missouri?
Yeah, it is. But like, it seems like our fishing always gets tough, like, you know, in the fall time, you know, August, into November, really. So a lot of times I just sell my boat right around end of October, beginning November, and my new one comes in about the same time. So I'm still waiting on mine to get wrapped right now. It's going to get wrapped next week, and I'm going to kind of get back into it a little bit. But it's a nice little getaway, you know, just to go hunting for a few weeks and kind of forget about fishing for just a little bit, and kind of gives you that itch to get ready to go again.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I'm trying to remember who posted it. Somebody, I think it was Carl's brand, Fear My Heart. They posted like 103 or 107 days until the classic, something like that for a countdown. And I'm like, and I thought for a second, I'm like, dang, that's close. That's like 3 months or so. And I'm like, wait, if the classic's that far away, then the first Elite Series Derby is even shorter time. So it's like, you might feel like things are starting to be, quote unquote, the off season, but it's like, you got to turn and burn pretty soon here.
Yeah, I know. It's about time to get all tuned up again and get ready to start catching some. I like to fish in the wintertime anyway, because it's like some of the best fishing here. From now till April, it's awesome here. So I'm ready to get back after them. I'm probably gonna start my tournament fishing here this weekend, kind of kick it off again, and get back to fishing a couple days a week again.
Yeah, dude, and that is one of the reasons we got you on this as a cold water fishing segment, is because, I mean, one, from obviously following you on socials, two, the OG wired to fish videos that they got of you throwing the jig and wrap and the spoon and things like that. I mean, those are some of the videos I can remember before even starting this podcast that I remember watching and taking tips from. So it's I'm looking forward to breaking down into some of this stuff with you, especially from the cold water realm, because we're talking about myths and tips here, and so there's definitely some myths that still pertain, I think, in the fishing realm, where people think a couple of different things. We're going to go through some with you, and so we'll kind of dive right into it. And the first and foremost one is, everybody thinks that when the water's, like, let me backtrack. What would you? Because I asked Andy this earlier. From the north, he thinks that 45 degrees and below is cold. What would your temp line be, where if it's below that degree, it's considered cold?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, anything under 50 is pretty cold.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you too. We were joking saying it might be per region though, because like the Florida folks, if it's below 60, they're ice fishing down there.
Right. Yeah. No. No matter what the water temperature is, like, I'm sure it's not exactly the same way down south, but when the days get real short, the fish know that it's wintertime. They don't have, a lot of daylight to feed. And I just feel like it kind of kicks something extra into them and makes them want to eat a little extra.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we want to dive into is that behavior of feeding, especially when the wintertime, when temps get considered cold, is you hear the thing where it's like you got to slow way down. Like, especially when you hear about people throwing a jerkbait, they got to wait 30 seconds in between each twitch. Or when you're dragging, you gotta move it an inch per minute. Like, you always hear like these crazy things from some of the old heads at the boat ramp type of deal. But like, what do you agree? Do you lean more agreeing or disagreeing on speed when it's cold?
I'm pretty much disagree 100%, really. I just, I've seen days when the water's freezing cold like that. You catch them on a wiggle wart going down the bank. I think no matter what, if you're around bass and you're fishing for, active fish, you can get a reaction bite out of them. You might have to get your bait a little bit closer to them to make them react, but I feel like that speed isn't going to be the, direct thing that causes or doesn't cause them to bite.
Right. And then that was one thing I see, especially when diving into it over the years, was some of the people speed cranking, and the people that were really giving this, and especially throwing big baits too, when things are pretty cold, was people that are experimenting a little bit, and they'll take, like Tactical Bassin Boys is a great example, with their speed crank, or their tactical crank that they made with River to Sea, where they're talking about they burn the living daylights out of it when the water's in mid or low to mid 40s and catching the fire out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a great example of, don't feel afraid to give that a rip. And I feel like too, when you hear about, like, when you rip a crankbait through a school, that sometimes you might bust that school up, where I feel like, and I'm asking, we're going to throw this to you, is do you feel like when the water's that cold and they're grouped up, they're less likely to bust and skirt off in those temps?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that a lot of times it's your bait that freaks them out. You know what I mean? I think whenever they feel more the presence of your boats around them, they see your boat, you drag it, they chase your bait up and see your boat. and they're like, yeah, what's going on here? More so than, oh crap, something just ran by me, I'm going to run away. I
Yeah.
think they're just too curious. You know what I mean? They get perked up and get excited, and they'll chase your bait to the boat. If they don't bite it, they see your boat, and then they start to know the gig's up. More so in my opinion than just something swimming by them scaring them.
Okay.
I get that. So, like, you're fishing a wiggle wort, right? And you're up shallow-ish. So, like, a common myth is, bass live deep in the wintertime. So, to kind of bust that myth, right? Like, how deep are you running that wiggle wort during the wintertime to get those bites?
A lot of times not that deep. You're no deeper than 10 feet, and which on clear water lakes like where I live is really shallow. But live scope has helped us break this myth. You know what I mean? A lot of times, whenever it gets really cold, and you get a bright sunny day, man, those fish just will float up higher and higher, trying to get that sunshine, trying to get that warmth. That the top 2 feet of the water is going to be the warmest that time of year. So they're not going to bury down there, below the thermocline if they don't have to. If there's food above it, they can stay up there in the sun. And a lot of times, I think the bait fish like to warm up as well. You'll see those big clouds of shad get up near the top of the water, and I feel like that's what they're all trying to do.
Right. So you're burning that wiggle wort, right? And it's kind of cloudy, and all of a sudden the sun comes out and you see those bass rise. What is like a good follow-up bait that you would have to make those bass eat for you when the water's cold?
A lot of times a jerk bait or a Demiki, either one. But honestly, like I don't swap, like if I'm up cranking the bank because I think there's fish up there, a lot of times the sun is going to make that better, in my opinion, because they kind of suck up and they'll get up on those big rocks and get on every little piece of wood, anything that's going to hold a little bit of heat. And in my opinion, the best days to fish shallow are sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's a good notion for people that they hear, especially when you hit the fall time is uglier the better, which I definitely think rings true for the majority, but there really isn't a deterrent to regardless of conditions. Where if it's slick out, sunny out, and I'm sure it depends on the fishery, that there's still bass to be caught. You just need to completely change how you approach those fish. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Because I mean, like even throwing a plopper or something like a little earlier in the fall, it seems like my best days are always bright and sunny. It just seems like they can see better, and I just think they're shallower. I mean, we see it with live scope all the time. Those sunny days, the fish rise off the bottom, they get up, they move around, and those cloudy days, sometimes you can go in the same areas and they're just gone, and it's because they're on the bottom. They'll suck to the bottom. It seems like cloudy day, the deeper they go, and I've seen it in a lot of different places. You see it on the St. Lawrence River, for example. Sunny days, big wads swimming on the flats, and those cloudy days, man, they're off in the depths, just off in the middle of nowhere.
Think so. For you, deciding whether to go fishing versus hunting is pretty easy. You're gonna go on those days when it's cloudy and a little bit nasty weather. You're gonna go sit in a stand, and then the nice days you're gonna go out fish.
Man, I think it just all runs together. You know what I mean? Because I would rather deer hunt on that exact same day. It's something about the pressure getting high. It makes something click inside all wildlife. You see it all the time. When your trail cameras start going off every day, they all start going off at the same time. It's the same way with the fish. That's when they want to eat too.
We won't go down this rabbit hole, but what I will say,
You want to.
I really want to, but I'm going to hold off. I'm going to hold off for a reason. If anybody's seen Matt Aries' social media, he went and put down a pretty big one. So congrats to Matt on that buck. But we're actually in the next couple of weeks, we got Matt Aries coming on the show. We're going to do like a full breakdown of big buck versus big bass behavior and how they are similar and compared. And that's going to be a really cool show. So yeah, that to look forward to. But yeah, I love that conversation, Cody. It's one that I can talk for hours.
I got something for you on Matt. You want to have that conversation with him. He came to Missouri. We had some Toyota and Bass Pro stuff to do out here, and Matt said, "Man, you think you could put me on a buck?" I said, "Well, yeah, absolutely." I said, "Come out here and let's hunt." You want to know what he decided to do instead of coming deer hunting with me? play pickleball. So just remember if you're interviewing him in a week or two. He was playing pickleball while I was killing bucks. Just
got it. All right. Hey, I'm gonna take note of that. I'm gonna put that down right now because we will call this out.
Yeah, you better.
Why
Breaking news
is
here.
the pickleball scene become a big thing? Like I feel like I'm seeing this all over the fishing side, from the Scott Martin crew to Zaldane to Polnick. Like what is the rave of the pickleball crew?
I guess we're all getting old. I don't know. It's pawpaw game.
I thought that was like poker or something, not pickleball.
Cody, have you started playing pickleball yet?
No. I played one game one time, and it was just because it was part of a half and half pickleball and golf tournament.
See, what's funny is you got Matt Airy, Scott Martin, Canterbury, Zaldane. You got some of these older guys, and then you got Alex Redwine in the mix that does it pretty actively too. So
Yeah.
maybe he's just too old for his age.
Maybe it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I've never got into it. I'm sure it's fine. Whatever.
I've never seen the desire myself. It just looks like ping pong / tennis, and I just never had much interest in. I had some interest in ping pong, but more when I had a few drinks than me and you're with your buddies. That's about it.
Yeah, I might let my wife drag me up there and play it or something a time or two, but that's probably about as competitive as I'm going to get at it.
But you said the key word in that was drag you.
Yeah.
Drag you to go do it. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we will bring that up with Matt for sure. That's a good one. Okay, so I think this is one of the last ones we have from the myths or what the doc talk has been around cold water fishing, and that is you need to downsize. You got to throw something small. They're not going to eat anything bigger when it's cold. But what would you say your take is on that?
I mean, in my mind, a lot of times that cold water fishing is a lot like kind of the same mindset that I have in like September. A lot of times I'm throwing something either really small or really big, not a lot in between. And a lot of times I'm fishing either one of them very fast, just trying to make one react.
That makes sense. I feel like, do you think people lean more towards the smaller bait approach versus the big baits, just simply not because one won't work, but more so you might just get more bites, so they think it works better than the bigger bait approach?
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, wintertime, man, I tell you what, it's hard for me to want to throw, I love to throw a big 3/4 and 1 ounce football jig in the wintertime. And I don't put no stingray grub or something stupid on the back of it. I put it on a big flapping trailer just like you do any other time. And they don't seem to mind.
So this is interesting. I think we'll have to get Barden's take on this too. But my buddy went to ESF Bailey, and they did like a study on fish when the water gets cold. And shout out to my buddy Frank here. But he was telling me that the study concluded that when the water gets below a certain degree, bass, what they can see underneath water actually shrinks. So if you upsize your profile of bait, the bass can actually see it, or fish can see it better, because basically their vision gets real blurry apparently or something when the water gets really cold. So by upsizing your bait, it creates more contrast, so they're able to find it better. So it has nothing to do with big forage or little forage. It's just, can they see it?
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So I think that'll be a good one to hit on Barden.
We are always stocking the folder of questions for every time we get to talk to our pal Barden, which I'll keep laying some breadcrumbs, but we're going to see Barden a lot more next year, which I probably gave it away. But either way,
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yes.
For me.
All the above. It's going to be great, actually. I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. Steve's an interesting one, Cody. He's our fisheries biologist friend of ours he does the MLF fisheries management division. And he's an awesome one because he's a guy he's a Texan boy that likes to sit down, drink beer, but he's also a super nerd about fish. So you can ask him all these questions, which is hilarious after a few beers and you ask him all these fishing questions, the wizardry comes out. But it makes for a fun show. But
He's one of those guys.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Where all the theories kind of get thrown out the window, and we're like, all right, we're gonna just talk to Steve. Steve will know. Yeah. Well, let's kind of get into some tips. I mean, I guess before we get into tips, are there any other myths or famous little sayings that you've heard through the years about cold water fishing that we might be missing?
No, I mean, you guys hit it on the head. I mean, it's interesting. I think it's more so, find it is, have to trick them to catch them because, they get bitey when it gets cold. They want to eat something. But, it's weird for them, like around here, in fall time, they'll start getting out in the middle, chasing bait. But it'll be a point this probably January, into February. It's free.
Oof.
Once people get
We're losing you, Cody.
Starlink's failing him again.
Dang it, Elon. Save our boy. Now, hey, Cody, if you can hear me, try to back out and come back in again. We were doing so good. We were going 30 minutes strong. Oh, we got
Bad
you.
day.
Oh. Let's see.
Zoom
We got
in,
you now?
zoom out.
Yeah, try to back out, Cody, and come back in. It's all froze up on us here. This is the fun part about podcasting, folks. Especially fun part, I should say, about live streaming is there's no cutting this. So it's the fun part about all that and dealing with technology. But either way, trying to think what he was trying to get at there because we were about to go down the tips segment here of talking about cold weather bassing and where to go find these fish, what to have on deck for these when you're chasing these fish. So we're gonna get into that if we can get him back here on the show. If not, Andy and I are gonna break down some of that with you guys, and then here in about 20-30 minutes, we're gonna get on our boy Dylan Grubb here and dive into a whole other segment. But I think we got Cody back. Let's see. Cody, we got you.
10-4 Pigpen, come on back.
Where's that?
There he is.
Uh,
That's like southbound and down, I think. Is that
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So, Cody, I don't know where we left off on. Where did we lose you?
Oh, I don't know where you guys quit hearing me, but I was just talking about, how fish, around here at a certain point this winter, they're all going to, leave the bait and go back to the bank again. And it's just kind of a weird array of things that do happen once the water gets to a certain temperature that seems like they want to get off the shad and go back to eating crawfish and bluegill and a little bit heartier meals.
Okay. Now for people that are going out fishing, say they've either been busy at work, family stuff throughout the holidays, or maybe they've been out in deer woods and they finally tagged out and they can get the boat out and go fishing. And it's one where they haven't been out a couple weeks, temperatures and the lay of the land's completely different. So from your mind, what's the approach? Where are they even going to start, I guess, looking for fish when water temps are 50 or below? When you see that, maybe say they're in their mid 40s, like where are you going to look?
It for me, it depends, what kind of lake you're on. But if I'm, on a high mountain reservoir, I've got a Demiki, a jerkbait, and a jig. And I'm going to start secondary, whether that's long pockets, creeks. I want to find them as far back as I can to start and, work my way out to figure out what stage the majority of the fish are in and just kind of start picking them apart from there, whether they're on bait fish, whether they're on brush or whatever they seem to be on. You just kind of got to, figure it out each day.
Well, you asked part of the second question we were getting to was what was going to be on deck for you. And it seems like you don't have a lot of different things on deck ready to go this time of year. It's you're pretty good cycle, I guess, of what they might be eating.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends if you're trying to catch fish to win or you just want to catch fish. You know, there's lots of other things you can mix in to catch fish. You know, of course, I might have an A rig out or something like that, but as far as just keeping it simple, those are the only three things that I feel like I need to go catch bass and catch big bass as far as this time of year.
Now, take the competitive side out of it and this more pure enjoyment. What's one rod, bait, and all that jazz that you got locked in your hand this time of year?
I'd probably be crappie fishing. I'd get me old Bobby Garland out and go to town.
So you're not even going for bass. You're screw that. We're going crappie.
No, you're gonna get the grease hop probably.
That's awesome. All right. Well, for our bass fishing friends, what would you, if you had to choose one?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna go just fish and you have live scope, of course, just go out there to the Demiki and just dob around and figure out how to catch some. But you know, the wintertime can be a very tricky time to catch fish if you don't like to use your electronics and stuff like that. So, I mean, you know, if I'm not doing that, I'm probably going to go throw a jerk bait on bluff ends and, you know, just the stuff that looks good, chasing the wind, trying to find, you know, what I would be using my electronics to run into, you know, just using your instincts, just fishing those really high percentage areas, you know, that they might kind of be blown up on, whether that's a point, secondary point, bluff end, any kind of good feeding area close to deep water.
That makes sense. And then go ahead, Andy.
How's it like wintertime, right? Like, and you're trying to get fish to move and come eat. Do you kind of move more towards like flashy sided jerk baits, or are you still running like your translucent ones that are real clear?
You know, I just match it to the watercolor. You know, if I've got a dinge, I'll throw a bone. But, you know, most of the time I'm throwing some kind of, you know, pro blue, matte, something real natural looking. But for the most part, I don't do the real slow jerk baiting like you guys were talking about. I used to when I was a kid. We used to do it all the time. We caught the heck out of fish. But, you know, I feel like we're all learning that the fish are kind of evolving. You know, live scope taught us a lot. And not very many times do I stop it and let them sit there and stare at it and them ever bite.
I was gonna say, have you seen that with live scope, or have you tried doing that where you do the 10-second, 20-second pause?
Yeah, you just feel like an idiot because you watch them swim right up there, nose it, turn around, swim off, spin around, come back, look at it. It's just like, man, whenever those fish used to bite back in the day, they had never even seen a jerk bait probably. And there was probably 20 of them fighting over it. It just took them that long to get to
it. Yeah. Where if we didn't, you know, if we had no idea, we had no live scope, that fish probably looked at it 3 different times and just finally decided to make up its mind and eat it, where we had no idea what was going on.
Dude, I remember being a kid, it being freezing cold in the early springtime, casting on one of those long-billed Stacy's, those little Lucky Crafts, out the back of the boat and just dragging that thing just on a spinning rod, just sitting there waiting and just making one cast for like 5 minutes. And it was horrible. We didn't catch crap.
I'm going to test your Stacey knowledge. Was it a version 1, 2, or 3?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even own one anymore.
This is the tackle nerd here talking, Cody. You'll have to.
Do you know what a Stacey is, Bailey?
I do know. I do not own one, but I do know what you're talking about. I don't know
the
different versions.
Yeah, it's basically sync rate, I believe, is the different versions on them.
And this is why
I had no idea. I never got that deep into them. I haven't threw one in years.
Yeah, there's some colors they discontinued in like 2010 that I know a lot of the guys around here were really upset about because smallmouth just loved them.
We used to throw that like kind of black back with like a baby blue, and then it rolled to silver. That's one we used to throw.
I think the art of the 10-second pause and things like that is a dying art now, that with technology kind of showing that we don't need to do that anymore. You can certainly do it, and you can, like you said, you can still definitely catch fish doing it, but you got that forward facing, which I will add another to the jar here. You can definitely be way more efficient now.
Yeah, I think it's very effective around cover, around grass, around brush, standing timber, stuff like that, where you are afraid you're going to get hung up if you move it. I feel like kind of plays a bigger role in a situation like that, more so than just going down the bank.
Yeah. It's for this time of year. I feel like you need, you can have some great days to your point. You can definitely go catch a lot of fish. You can catch some big ones. I definitely feel like though there needs to be an added sense of patience, especially when we're talking about people that maybe it took a break to go hunt for the fall and they're coming back in to fish for the winter, where they came hot off of, speed cranking down the bank, which you can definitely catch them here. But I feel like there needs to be an added sense of patience because things might not be too hot and heavy. Where I feel like, in my opinion, it's very window focused, but I'm curious your take on that. Like throughout a fishing day, like you're going to have certain windows where it's going to be hot and heavy, where else throughout the rest of the day it might be here or there.
I think that's 100% right. I see it all the time. You're fishing for them, you're around them all the time, and they only bite early in the morning, late in the afternoon, whatever. There are definitely windows, but I also think there's not as many fish in these lakes as what people think. There's a lot of areas there are not fish. They don't live there. There's not very many. I think you have to be in a good area that's alive and productive to even give yourself the chance to get around them and have a good day.
Now, are you saying that off of the actual lake's population, or are you saying this time of year they're just so grouped up that there's not there's dead areas?
I think they're grouped up, and I just think that, in a lot of lakes that there's just areas where they've already migrated out of, or there's not that many in that creek arm because there wasn't many shad. They're in the one next to it. I just think there's lots of variables that you can go for miles with your live scope and look around in different places and never see crap, and then all of a sudden you go in this one area and you're like, every fish in the lake is in here. That's probably because every fish in the next 2 or 3 creeks came to that one because that's where it's going down.
They're huddling for warmth.
I don't know. I think they move a lot more than people think because, like this year, Bull Shoals, for example, it's we had the lowest year we've had in a long time, like water level, and it's like there's not any fish in the river because they decided they don't know where to go. It got low, the bait fish left, and there's not a fish within 20 miles of there hardly. You catch some, but they're like little resident rat, not big ones, and it's so interesting.
Yeah, that's a whole other myth that you could get into too. Is when a bass when it's that cold, they just hunker down the bottom, they don't move. Like you see them at the Bass Pro Tank, and that's the one that's sitting in the crevice in the rock, and it's not moving anywhere. That's what people assume that happens all winter long. Which, to your point, Andy and I, in one of our lakes here in New York, it's a big ice fishing lake, and they can go and prove that these smallmouth do not sit on the bottom throughout the winter. They chase almost just as hard as they do in the summer through the ice, which
smallmouth are an entirely different breed of fish, though. They're wild. The more you think about it and study them, they're just wild.
But I would say after limited time with a spotted bass, I would probably put spotted bass more on the crackhead side than smallmouth. Cody, would you agree on that front?
Spotted bass are ignorant. I can't stand them. They give me a headache. I have never caught a big spotted bass doing anything like you would expect to do. We have Kentuckys here, and they're normal. They're fine. You can catch them. They'll stay where you find them. They bite, whatever. But a true spotted bass, I've never caught a big one unless I was largemouth fishing. It's you have 9,000 little buddies out there, living in the abyss, eating stuff. But nope, once you get over 3 pounds, you're going to go to the bank and just live up there.
Just beat everything up that lives around it, right? And this is my home type deal.
Yeah, those things suck. I don't like them.
Shoot, 24 schedule was basically a third of the schedule was a spotted bass fishery.
I know. It
must have been tough on you then.
Yeah. So stupid things.
I mean, you say that, but then you finish and you're what? Your fifth angler of the year?
I didn't weigh in many spots.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Touche. That's awesome, dude. Well, Andy, you got anything else here for Cody? Is there something we're missing on the cold water side?
No, I don't think so. Not that I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh, here's one. I actually meant to ask this earlier. But when we're talking about, like you mentioned, even some of the fair weather days where it's sunny, slick, how you can still definitely catch those fish. To a similar front, people that are getting up and they don't want to because things are cold. They might show up late to the boat ramp this day. They might get out 30 minutes after sunrise or whatever that may be. Do you think there's still an advantage for those that are willing to endure the little cold winter bite the hour, say, before sunrise? Maybe not an hour, but as you start to see a little bit of sun,
Yeah.
it's worth getting out then for that bite.
I think there definitely is a window. Some days it's shorter than others, but in my opinion, the best time to fish in the wintertime is an hour before dark. That's my favorite. Is like whenever the sun's been shining all day, the bait fish are really sucked up to the top, and it's just I don't know. I've had some of the most insane afternoons, and like in the wintertime, whenever it's cold and nasty, and just right before dark, it's just like they go insane. I don't know. Just for whatever reason, that's my all time favorite time to fish. Just the last 2 hours of dark in the wintertime.
I wonder if it's almost like so when we talk about bass over a month span from fall or summer leading to fall into winter, where the bite will pick up because they realize the days are getting shorter, which you mentioned earlier, and the bite might pick up and they might feed heavier and they realize they know these things year over year. I wonder if that's almost like on a micro level on a day-to-day basis where they realize things are getting darker. Maybe that's just kind of like on a micro level, something clicks where they need to go feed heavier before it gets dark.
It could be for sure because I mean, it's like it seems like it's clockwork. That time of year. It's like you can count on it. It's as warm as it's going to be that day, and they're going to be eating. It's I don't know. It's just either that or maybe they eat all night and they're so excited to they're kind of like a deer, trying to go to a food plot. They just the only reason they come in the daylight is because they're excited. They try to go get started a little early, and maybe it's kind of that kind of deal. It's hard to say, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go dive into another whitetail versus bass comparison, I mean, you got your morning window, your evening window, and the random giant during lunchtime.
They're the same. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's wildlife.
I'm with it, man.
It is. It's all of
with that. Yeah. Oh, it's the nighttime thing is interesting too, especially here in New York. I got some buddies that I won't fully, expose it here, but they will go fish at night with big baits when it is like cold,
Mm-hmm.
and they will still smash them when it is tough during the day. And
Yeah.
I think there's definitely something to that, especially at the nighttime. And anybody that does fish at night probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. But it is that I mean, here we go, Andy. There's another topic for our boy Barden to dive into here. But it's a cool deal, all that happens. And Andy, in a joking manner, said that's wildlife, but I think that it's extremely true because you see it not even just deer and fish. It's something about
humans.
yeah, full moons, boy. You better get ready. I don't know if you've ever heard those comparisons before. Like, if it's a new moon, you better watch out, like for crime. Like, I think I heard all these wacky stuff.
Oh yeah, full moon truly brings out the worst in people.
I've heard that like with cats, but it was only a couple of years ago. I heard it with that. It's the same thing with humans too. Like, there's actually like legit data that crime activity is up on a full moon. Which is like
everything's up on a full moon.
I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. But all right, so Cody, I guess if you had to pick a certain region of the country this time of year when things get cold to go fish, where would you choose?
I like it right here where I live. If you want to, have a chance to go somewhere and catch a pile of fish that's just what I like to do. I'm not one of those guys that goes out and fishes all day to catch one big one. I would rather catch, 100 2-pounders than I would 10 5-pounders. And that's just what I enjoy. I feel like, honestly, you could kind of draw a line straight across the country, over to Dale Hollow and those areas, that East Tennessee, North Carolina, and they have a lot of lakes that are really similar, and seems like they do the same stuff.
Well, you might say you like catching 100 2-pounders, but buddy, this past year you were pretty good at catching 5 big ones.
Well, that's fine too. I like that. I enjoy it in a tournament. I'm just talking about having fun and catching fish.
Fish is a fish.
That's right.
Well, dude, one, just appreciate you taking time to come out on the show and drop some knowledge on us and the folks. But I guess what, two, going forward 2025, what should the people look out for you? Obviously fishing on the elites, but is there anything big coming up for you in the new year?
I've got it's kind of an interesting year. I've made a big change sponsor wise. It's gonna be awesome. I'm pretty excited for it. And it's not that I didn't like everybody I worked with; they were awesome. But this is actually kind of the first time I've told anybody. But I've went all in 100% Bass Pro Shops with all their plastics, all their hard baits, rods, reels, clothes. This is going to be the first year and like the first boat that everything that's in my boat, everything that's I use, you can just go on Bass Pro and load your truck and boat, and that's what I'm using for tournaments this year. So I'm kind of excited about it.
Dang, congrats, man! I mean, you were already Bass Pro rods, reels, right?
Yeah, rods, reels, and boat, and rain gear before, and ended up going with the hard baits and soft baits and all that this year. So it's gonna be pretty cool. I've got to help them make some really awesome baits already, and kind of excited to see how they do.
Yeah, dude, that's big. That's big time. That means, I mean, if you're all in Bass Pro Shops, that means you get free access to fish the tanks, right?
I wish. I got to work on that. Try to get work in my contract.
Well, hey, when you do, just remember there's 2 people that brought that idea on a live podcast. Okay. I would love also a free cast.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Just one. Just one.
Just one time. Just one time. Well, dude, appreciate you taking time out. Congrats on that. That's huge. Yeah, looking forward to seeing all that come to fruition in 2025. And buddy, good luck on the road. We'll be in touch. Obviously, hopefully get you on some more shows here throughout the winter in 2025. And man, we'll see you down in Texas for a classic.
All right. Having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you, Kevin.
All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that episode. Like I said, it's not going to be just filler episodes all the time. We're going to put these out as bonus shows, different extra content for you guys to digest. And obviously, hopefully that this is timely enough for where you're fishing, if you're still fishing right now, being that it's November 5th as this drops. But hopefully you guys enjoy that stuff because we just had such amazing guests, amazing conversations, great information that was shared on this show that it doesn't deserve to just be posted once and then be lost in years of SEO trying to go back and find it. So we want to bring some of them back to the surface so that you guys can see those. And full disclosure, this idea was actually, we took this from the Southern Outdoorsman podcast. I just want to give credit where credit is due. I saw them doing this. I'm like, man, that's such a good idea. Because there's sometimes where we do a really good episode that has such incredible information and it gets out there, but then it's now buried under, another 30 shows. And it's nice to bring some of that back to life. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let us know whether it's in a rating and review, which we've had a bunch of new ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you guys so much for that. We see you. We appreciate you, as well as folks that are in the YouTube comments on the day-to-day. You guys are awesome. We appreciate y'all. You guys keep the show running. Without further ado, we'll see y'all on the next one.